I never expected much from my family, but being excluded from the inheritance at a Christmas dinner? That was new. My father, Dom Elias, with a voice choked with importance, declared that the future of the businesses would be in the hands of my brothers, Gustavo, Marcelo, Ricardo, all of them. The justification? I was too simple for the real world of business. At least that was the unanimous opinion. The atmosphere was one of awkward silence until the nephew, little Leo, who was distracted by his phone, let out a shout. "Guys, you won't believe it! There's a Sofia Ribeiro on the Forbes list, net worth $3.8 billion. He read it out loud, and the name Sofia Ribeiro echoed through the room. The entire room froze. No one spoke. And the most ironic part is that I built all of this in just 5 years, while they managed gas stations in small towns, deals in Silicon Valley. But before we dive into that shock, I need you to understand the journey. First, I want to ask you to leave your like and subscribe to the channel to receive more videos like this. Now, get ready, because the story begins on a Christmas Eve, a little before this revelation. It was December 23rd, the eve of Christmas Eve. My father had summoned the whole family for an urgent dinner. My mother, Donna Lucy, as always, prepared that giant turkey, the one we eat once a year and everyone praises out of politeness. My 3 brothers were there, accompanied by their wives. Gustavo, the eldest, a lawyer by training, always flaunting his impeccable tie. Marcelo, the middle one, with his administration degree, already at the head of the family transport company. And Ricardo, the youngest before me, an engineer responsible for the farm. All of them, men with degrees and positions in my father's ventures. I, on the other hand, arrived alone, without an influential partner to show off, without a university degree to boast about, just me, with my basic black dress and my popular car timidly parked among the imposing SUVs of my brothers. At the height of dinner, my father stood up. The clinking of the knife against the crystal glass made the chatter cease. He examined us one by one and began his speech. "Family, you know that time doesn't stop. I am 72 years old and it's time to organize things. That's why I gathered you here today. I am going to distribute the family businesses," he continued, detailing the fate of each one. "Gustavo, you will get the 3 central gas stations. Marcelo, the transport company and the fleet of trucks are yours. Ricardo, the farm and all the cattle will be under your management." And then he paused, fixing his eyes on me with that condescending expression. As for Sofia, his voice softened, but the tone was one of pity. "Daughter, you never had a vocation for the world of business. I'll leave you the beach apartment. It's modest, but you can rent it out during the season." A muffled giggle came from Clara, Gustavo's wife. "It's the most sensible thing, father-in-law. Sophia has always been more, how can I say, simple. Business requires a sharp mind, study, preparation." My mother shook her head in agreement. "It's true. Sophia never dedicated herself to her studies like her brothers. She spent the day on that computer, doing God knows what. I never understood this internet thing," Marcelo added, endorsing his father's words. "Father, you are absolutely right. Sophia wouldn't be able to handle the pressure. Remember when she tried to help at the gas station? She didn't even know how to fill out an invoice. It's better to leave the business to those who truly understand." I remained silent, chewing my turkey. Each phrase was a stab, but I wouldn't give them the pleasure of seeing me cry. 5 years ago, a scene like this would have broken me down in tears. But in 5 years, a lot had changed. While they were busy with their gas stations, I was shaping something they could never even imagine. It all started with an idea that at the time seemed silly. It was 2020, the height of the pandemic. The world was upside down, and I, cloistered in a tiny studio apartment in Sao Paulo, made a living as a freelance designer, lucky enough to earn about 1,500 reals a month. One day, during a Discord chat with a friend from New York, she complained about the difficulty of finding a decent app to organize her online shopping. Everything was chaotic, with no spending control. I had taken a basic online programming course, one of those free ones you find on YouTube. I thought, why not try to create something simple? I spent 3 months immersed in developing a very basic prototype. I showed it to her and to some other foreign friends I met in forums. They loved it. In just 2 weeks, my little app already had 300 users. In a month, 3,000. And in 6 months, 50,000 active users. It was then that I received the email that would turn my world upside down. It was from a Silicon Valley investor. He had noticed my app and wanted to talk. My first thought was, this must be a scam. But curiosity got the better of me. I replied. After 3 Zoom video calls, he made an offer. $500,000 for 30% of the company. I felt a chill down my spine. I almost fell out of my chair. $500,000. At that time, it was more than 2 million Brazilian reals. But here comes the first movie-worthy twist. My father found out about the proposal. I have no idea how, but he knew. And do you know what he did? He called the investor and simply said that I was incapable. He literally described me as someone with mental problems, unreliable, and suggested the investor look for someone else. The investor, confused, told me everything afterward. He found the situation very strange. When I confronted him, my father defended himself by saying it was for my own good, that I would lose everything and be deceived. People like us weren't born for this world of technology and millions, he insisted. That was the last straw. I gathered my few savings, sold my old car, and borrowed from whoever I could. I managed to gather about 40,000 reals and, with a tourist visa, moved to the United States. I lived in a hostel in San Francisco for 3 months. I threw myself into every tech event I could find. I slept only 4 hours a night, dedicating the rest of my time to programming and improving my app. It was in this exhaustive routine that I met the legendary Alara Vance, one of the most influential investors in Silicon Valley. The meeting took place at a modest event, one of those that serve cold pizza and flat soda. She was visibly bored in a corner. I gathered my courage and struck up a conversation about the weather, about anything trivial. She was polite, but it was obvious she wanted to leave. Until, in a moment of daring, I mentioned my app. I showed her the numbers on my half-broken cell phone, 100,000 active users. She stopped. Her gaze changed. She asked for more details, many more. In 20 minutes, she was inviting me to her office the next day. A week later, we closed the deal. $2 million for 20% of the company. With this capital, I built a real team. I hired talented developers, creative designers, strategic marketers. In 6 months, my app reached the mark of 1 million users. In a year, 10 million, and we began to implement a subscription model. The growth was explosive. But the story would not be complete without the second twist, and this one involved my family again. They found out I was living in the United States, and surprisingly, did something I will never forget. My brother Gustavo, the lawyer, filed a lawsuit in Brazil. The claim? That I was incapable of managing my own assets, citing emotional instability and the need for family protection. I only found out about it because a bailiff went to my only friend's house in Brazil looking for me. She called me, desperate. I had to hire lawyers in Brazil, being on the other side of the world, and spent $50,000 just to prove that I was, in fact, mentally capable. $50,000. Meanwhile, the company continued its meteoric trajectory. We closed strategic partnerships with giants like Amazon and then Shopify. In the second year, we grossed $100 million. In the third, $400 million. Google even tried to buy us for $1 billion, but I refused. I knew my value was much greater. It was at this peak that the third and most perverse situation unfolded. My mother, Donna Lucia, called crying, in tears, saying that my father had suffered a sudden heart attack, that he was between life and death, and that I needed to return to Brazil immediately. I dropped everything. I took the first available flight, 16 hours of travel, tormented by the idea that I could lose my father. I arrived at the hospital running, my heart in my throat, plunged into despair. And what did I find? My father was great. It had been a simple gallbladder surgery. He was even eating jelly and laughing inanimately with my brothers. When he saw me, the smile disappeared from his face. "Daughter, it's good you came. We need to talk," he said with a sudden seriousness. It was all a setup. A farce to convince me to return to Brazil, to abandon my company. They argued that family was more important than money, that I was losing myself in this world of greed. My brother Ricardo was direct. "Sophia, stop this. Come home. Dad can get you a job at the gas station. Fixed salary, no stress. This life you lead is not for people like us." Marcelo completed. "Yeah, sis, you don't have the structure for this.
You're going to end up losing everything. It's better to stop now while there's still time. We'll help you sell this company and you can come back." My mother started crying, lamenting that I had changed, that I was no longer her daughter, that money had gone to my head, that I had abandoned the family for ambition. The worst part? For a moment, I almost believed them. I almost threw everything away. The weight of guilt, rejection, and loneliness was almost unbearable. But then, My phone rang. It was Ilara Vance. Microsoft had made an offer. $3.8 billion for the company. 3.8. My share after taxes was worth 2.3 billion clean. I looked at my family there in the hospital room, all judging me, belittling me with their looks. I answered the phone and said yes to Ilara. We closed the deal right there in the hospital corridor. I went back to the room, kissed my father's forehead, and simply said, "Goodbye, everyone." I didn't reveal anything about the sale. I let them continue to see me as the poor thing always. That was 2 years ago. Since then, we never touched on the subject of money or business again. I continued visiting the family on special dates, always with my simple car, my basic clothes. While they lived in the illusion of my simplicity, I bought a penthouse in Miami, an apartment in New York, a house in Malibu. I invested in 30 different startups, and 5 of them have already become unicorns. My wealth kept growing. But for my family, I was still failed Sophia, the one who had no head for business, the one who needed to be protected from herself. And I allowed them to think that way until that fateful Christmas dinner, which you saw at the beginning. When my father finished dividing the inheritance, my 15-year-old nephew Leo, Gustavo's son, was engrossed in his phone. Like every young person today, he was constantly connected. Suddenly, he shouted, "Guys, you won't believe it. There's a Sofia Ribeiro on the Forbes list, Brazilian, net worth of $3.8 billion. Look at the photo, Auntie, is that you?" The silence that followed was deafening. My father, Dom Elias, dropped his fork on the plate. My mother turned pale. My brother started to stammer. Gustavo's wife almost choked on her wine. Leo, oblivious to the chaos he had caused, continued reading aloud. Sofia Ribeiro, 32 years old, sold her technology company to Microsoft for $3.8 billion. She is considered the richest Brazilian under 40. My father stood up, trembling. Is this true? You have $3 billion. This is more than 15 billion reals. It's impossible. It must be someone else. I took out my phone, opened my bank account, and showed the balance. In just one of the accounts, there were $100 million sitting idle. My brother Gustavo almost fainted. Marcelo started to sweat cold. Ricardo stammered. "But how? You don't even have a college degree. You don't know anything about business. You always were. We tried to protect you, to help you." "Help me?" I laughed without humor. "You tried to destroy me. You sued me to declare me incompetent, lied about a heart attack to make me give up. You told my first investor I had mental problems." My mother started to cry. "Daughter, we didn't know. We just wanted to protect you. You seemed so lost, so alone. We thought you would get hurt." "Hurt me? You're the ones who hurt me. Every time you said I was incapable, every time you laughed at my dreams, every time you belittled me for being different." Gustavo's wife tried to approach with a forced smile. "Sophia, dear, we always loved you. We were always a family. You know that, right? Everything we did was thinking of your well-being." I let out a bitter laugh. "Now I'm dear? Now you love me? Funny how $3 billion changes people's perception, right?" My father sat back down, looking 10 years older in 10 minutes. "Daughter, forgive me. I failed you. As a father, as a human being, I didn't see your potential." "Do you know what's saddest, Dad?" I replied, my voice choked. "I just wanted you to believe in me. I didn't need money, inheritance, a gas station. I just needed support. Someone saying, 'Go for it, you can do it.' But you preferred to see me as small because it was more comfortable that way. Because if I failed, you would be right."
And what if I succeeded? Well, it would be a matter of luck, wouldn't it? Gustavo cleared his throat. "Sophia, let's be practical. You have a lot of money now. We can work together, unite the family businesses. Imagine the empire we can build." Marcelo quickly agreed. "That's right, united family. With your capital and our experience in traditional businesses, we can dominate the market. Have you thought about it? The Ribeiros conquering Brazil." I stood up from the table, grabbed my simple bag, and looked at each of them. "You still don't understand, do you? I don't need you. I never have, and I don't want your gas station empire." My father also stood up. "Are you leaving like this? Are you abandoning your family? Are you going to leave us here knowing you have billions while we struggle to pay the bills?" "Struggle to pay the bills? Dad, you have 3 gas stations, a trucking company, a farm. You're a millionaire. You're just not a billionaire, and that bothers you now, doesn't it?" Before leaving, I turned to them one last time.
Do you know the greatest irony of all this? I was going to share my money with you. I had even talked to my lawyers about creating a family fund. But today, you showed me who you really are. Not when you denied me the inheritance, but when you completely changed towards me upon discovering my money. Money doesn't change people, it just reveals them. And you revealed yourselves today. You are not family. You are vultures who only see value in dollar signs, who only respect bank accounts, who only love those with power. And that's very sad. I left that house forever. I drove my popular car for the last time, feeling a bittersweet mix of relief and sadness. The next day, I donated 10 million reals to charities in the city and made sure the news came out in the local newspaper. My family saw it. 10 million donated while they begged for scraps. Gustavo tried to call me 200 times. Marcelo sent messages apologizing. Ricardo came to my house, but I had already learned the most important lesson of my life. Real family is who believes in you when you have nothing, who supports you in your wildest dreams. Today, 3 years after that dinner, my net worth is $7 billion. I invest in young entrepreneurs who are underestimated by their families. I have already created 15 new millionaires. My father, Don Elias, passed away last year. In his will, he left a letter asking for forgiveness, saying that the biggest mistake of his life was not believing in me, that he died knowing he had failed as a father. My siblings continue with their businesses. Sometimes I see in the newspapers, gas station in crisis, trucking company with debts, farm for sale, the Ribeiro Empire slowly crumbling. And me? I'm still here, not for revenge, but because I learned that the greatest asset anyone can have is not money. It's believing in yourself when no one else does. This is my story. The saga of how I was cut from an inheritance of millions and built an empire of billions. The story of how my family's rejection became my greatest fuel. If you, who are watching this, are also underestimated, also belittled, also told you are not capable, I have a message for you. Use that as fuel. Prove them wrong. But when you get there, when you achieve everything, don't do as they did. Don't belittle anyone. Don't underestimate anyone, because you know how much it hurts, and no one deserves to go through that. True success is not proving you were right. It's helping others prove they are also capable. That's the legacy I want to leave. Not billions in money, but billions in dreams realized. If you liked this story, leave your like, subscribe to the channel to receive more videos like this.